My friends, strength of the body is useful, but strength of the mind is essential. It is the invisible force that determines whether a person rises in life or remains trapped where they are. It is not the weight you can lift in a gym, but the burdens you can carry in your soul without breaking. Today, let us explore the path of becoming mentally strong. It is not a gift given to a chosen few. It is a discipline, a set of principles, a way of living. Every great achievement, every devastating failure, every victory and defeat begins not in the physical world, but in the invisible world of thought. If you trace any man or woman's destiny back to its root, you will find a thought, a belief, an idea, a seed in the mind that grew into action. That is why mental strength begins with learning to control your thoughts. Your mind is like fertile soil. If you plant weeds, weeds will grow. If you plant flowers, flowers will bloom. And here lies the tragedy: many people hand over the keys of their mind to circumstances, to fears, to negative voices around them, and then wonder why their life is filled with chaos. Think of a captain steering a ship in the storm. The winds may rage, the waves may crash, but the captain cannot afford to throw the wheel into the sea. The moment he does, the ship is at the mercy of the storm. Life is the same. Storms will come: disappointment, betrayal, failure, heartbreak. But if you allow your thoughts to drift uncontrolled, you will be tossed wherever the storm takes you. Control the wheel, your thoughts, and you can still steer yourself toward your destination, no matter how violent the sea. The strongest people are not those who never feel fear, anger, or doubt. They are those who refuse to be ruled by those emotions. They recognize a simple truth: thoughts create emotions, emotions create actions, and actions create destiny. Let me give you a real example. Thomas Edison, the man who gave us the modern electric light, failed more than 1,000 times in his experiments. Imagine that, 1,000 times. Now, most people would interpret a single failure as a sign to quit. Yet Edison refused to give his thoughts permission to dwell on failure. He redefined the meaning of each attempt. He famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That is the power of thought control. He chose thoughts that empowered him instead of thoughts that weakened him. And science confirms what visionaries like Edison lived by. Research in neuroscience shows that the brain is constantly rewiring itself based on the thoughts we focus on. This is called neuroplasticity. Negative thoughts, when repeated, carve deep grooves in the brain, making it easier to think negatively again. But positive, empowering thoughts can build entirely new neural pathways, reshaping how we experience the world. In other words, when you control your thoughts, you are literally reshaping your brain. But let us be honest, controlling your thoughts is not easy. The mind often behaves like an untrained horse, restless and wild, running toward fear, anger, or doubt. So how do you take control? First, become aware. You cannot change a thought you do not notice. Begin by observing the chatter in your head. When you catch yourself saying, "I can't," replace it immediately with, "I can," and "I will." Mental strength begins with replacing the language of limitation with the language of possibility. Second, practice discipline and focus. Where focus goes, energy flows. If you dwell on problems, problems grow. If you dwell on solutions, solutions emerge. Train yourself daily to focus on what you want, not on what you fear. Third, feed your mind with power. Just as the body needs healthy food, the mind needs healthy input. Read books that elevate you. Surround yourself with people who speak life into you. Listen to ideas that inspire you. If you fill your mind with junk, you will produce junk. If you fill it with greatness, you will produce greatness. Remember this: a weak person blames the world for their misery. A strong person takes command of their inner world and creates peace in the middle of chaos. That is the beginning of mental strength. Controlling your thoughts so that no matter the storm, no matter the noise, no matter the failure, You remain the captain of your own destiny. Life will test you. It will throw stones at your dreams. It will place mountains in your path. It will shake the very ground you walk on. And here is the truth: mental strength is not proven in times of comfort, it is revealed in times of adversity. The true measure of a person is not how they behave when things are easy, but how they rise when everything has fallen apart. That quality, the ability to stand again, to recover, to persist, is called resilience. Resilience is the invisible armor of the strong. It does not mean you will not fall, it does not mean you will not feel pain, and it certainly does not mean you will not face loss. It means that no matter what life takes from you, it cannot take the fire within you. Think of the story of J.K. Rowling. Before she wrote Harry Potter, the books that captured the hearts of millions, she was a single mother living on welfare. She was rejected by publisher after publisher. 12 doors slammed in her face before one finally opened. She could have surrendered to despair. She could have accepted that her dream was impossible. But she chose resilience. She chose to believe in her vision when the world refused to believe in her. And because she persisted, she changed literature forever. Resilience is not a gift, it is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Every time you refuse to quit, every time you rise from a setback, you are training your resilience. Just as the body grows stronger when it lifts heavy weights, the mind grows stronger when it lifts the weight of adversity. Science has studied this. Psychologists at the University of Pennsylvania found that resilient people, those who see challenges as temporary and surmountable, are not only happier, but also far more successful. They perform better at work, recover faster from illness, and maintain healthier relationships. Why? Because when others stop, they keep going. When others break, they bend but do not shatter. But how do you build resilience? First, change the way you see failure. Weak minds view failure as the end. Strong minds view it as a lesson. Remember Thomas Edison's thousands of failures that were simply steps toward the light bulb. Every setback carries within it the seed of wisdom. The resilient person does not ask, "Why me?" They ask, "What can I learn from this?" Second, develop emotional endurance. Life will not always be kind. People will betray you, opportunities will collapse, loved ones will disappoint you. Resilience means allowing yourself to feel pain, but not allowing that pain to define your future. Cry if you must, but then rise. Mourn the loss, but then move forward. The strongest warriors are not those who never bleed, but those who heal and keep fighting. Third, hold a vision larger than the obstacle. Resilience thrives when your purpose is bigger than your pain. Nelson Mandela endured 27 years in prison, yet emerged not with bitterness but with vision. A vision of a free South Africa. If he had focused only on his suffering, he would have been crushed. But because his vision was greater, he could endure. Resilience also means refusing to be a prisoner of the past. Too many people replay their failures in their minds like a broken record. They live in yesterday's defeats instead of today's possibilities. The resilient person breaks that cycle. They say, "Yes, I failed, but I am not a failure. Yes, I fell, but I am not finished." Ooh, my friends, adversity is inevitable, but defeat is optional. The storm will come, but whether you stand after the storm depends on you. Resilience is not about avoiding the rain. It is about learning to dance in it. So, when life knocks you down, and it will, do not stay there. Rise again. Rise with new wisdom. Rise with new strength. Rise with new determination. Because every time you rise, you prove to the world, and more importantly to yourself, that you are unbreakable. If there is one silent destroyer of mental strength, it is self-pity. It is the quiet voice that says, "Life is unfair. Why me? Why now? Why this?" It is the habit of dwelling on hardship instead of rising above it. My friends, self-pity is poison. It drains energy, clouds judgment, and paralyzes action. No one ever became strong by sitting in a corner and feeling sorry for themselves. The mentally weak waste their days counting what they lost. The mentally strong use their time building what they can still gain. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who lost his job in a major corporate layoff. Many of his colleagues, crushed by the blow, spent months complaining, blaming the economy, the company, or fate itself. But this man refused self-pity. He asked, "What can I do with this? Where is the opportunity hidden here?" Instead of sulking, he used his severance pay to learn coding. Within 2 years, he launched a small software firm that not only replaced his lost income, but multiplied it. The difference between him and his colleagues was not luck, it was mindset. He rejected self-pity and replaced it with action. You see, self-pity blinds us. It makes us focus so heavily on what went wrong that we fail to see what can still go right. It tricks us into believing that our story is over when in reality, a new chapter is waiting to be written. Psychological research has proven this. Studies from the University of Stanford show that people who indulge in self-pity for long periods suffer higher levels of stress, anxiety, and depression. On the other hand, those who adopt proactive, solution-focused thinking recover faster from setbacks and achieve higher performance in life and work. The data is clear. Self-pity is not only unproductive, it is destructive. But how do we eliminate it? First, recognize it. Self-pity often disguises itself as honesty. We say things like, "I'm just being realistic," when in truth, we are making excuses. When you catch yourself rehearsing misery, stop, ask yourself, is this thought making me stronger or weaker? If it weakens you, reject it immediately. Second, shift your perspective. Every hardship carries two sides, the pain and the possibility. The strong choose to focus on possibility. Take the example of Nick Vujicic, a man born without arms and legs. He could have drowned in self-pity, and who would have blamed him? But instead, he chose to see possibility. Today, he is a global motivational speaker, inspiring millions with his message of hope. His life screams the truth. Circumstances cannot crush you unless you surrender to self-pity. Third, take action, no matter how small. Action is the antidote to self-pity. Even the smallest step forward breaks the chains of helplessness. When you act, you tell yourself, "I am not a victim, I am a creator." A walk outside, a phone call, a single page written, a skill practiced. These tiny actions build momentum that lifts you out of the swamp of self-pity. Finally, practice gratitude. Gratitude and self-pity cannot coexist. When you focus on what you have, your mind loses the space to mourn what you lack. Write down 3 things every day you are grateful for: your health, your loved ones, your opportunities. Gratitude shifts the mind from "why me" to "thank you." That shift alone is enough to give birth to strength. The truth is this: the world does not owe us a life without struggle, but it does offer us endless opportunities to grow stronger through that struggle. The mentally weak say, "Life is unfair." The mentally strong say, "Life is challenging, but I am greater than the challenge." So eliminate self-pity. Do not let it steal your time, your energy, or your destiny. Replace it with courage, with gratitude, and with action. Because the moment you stop feeling sorry for yourself, you unlock the power to transform yourself. One of the greatest tests of mental strength is not how you endure pain, but how you resist pleasure. The world today teaches us to seek everything now. Instant food, instant entertainment, instant results. But my friends, greatness is never instant. Success, fulfillment, mastery, these belong only to those who learn the art of delaying gratification. Delaying gratification means sacrificing what feels good in the moment for what will be great in the future. It is the discipline to say, "I could take the easy path, but I choose the harder one because it leads to something better." This discipline separates the average from the extraordinary. Let us consider a famous study that revealed this truth. In the late 1960s, Psychologist Walter Mischel conducted the marshmallow experiment. Children were given a marshmallow and told they could eat it immediately or wait a short time and receive 2 marshmallows instead. Some children ate the marshmallow right away, others waited. Years later, researchers tracked the children's lives. Those who delayed gratification consistently had higher incomes, better health, stronger relationships, and greater overall success. The conclusion is undeniable: the ability to delay gratification is a predictor of future achievement. Now think of the opposite. How many dreams have died because someone chose comfort over sacrifice? How many lives remain unfulfilled because people could not resist the short-term pleasure that destroyed their long-term destiny? The person who spends every paycheck on luxuries will never build wealth. The student who spends every night watching television will never master their craft. The individual who seeks instant pleasure in every moment becomes a slave to impulse, and impulse never leads to greatness. Real-world examples surround us. Consider athletes. A champion sprinter does not eat whatever they want, does not sleep whenever they feel like it, and does not skip training just because they are tired. Every choice is guided by the future reward of standing victorious on the track. Or think of entrepreneurs like Elon Musk, who once slept in his office while building his companies. He denied himself comfort so he could create an empire. Their lives are proof those who can sacrifice the now for the later build legacies. But here is the important truth. Delaying gratification is not just about willpower. It is about vision. People who quit easily or give in to temptation do so because they cannot see far enough ahead. When the reward is blurry, the temptation of the moment feels stronger. But when your vision is sharp, when you can see clearly the life you want, the person you wish to become, you will endure almost any hardship to reach it. So how do you build this discipline? First, train in small ways. Teach your mind to wait. Skip the dessert and wait an hour before eating. Save a small amount of money instead of spending it immediately. Read for 30 minutes instead of scrolling endlessly through your phone. These tiny acts of discipline condition your brain to resist impulse. Second, set meaningful goals. A vague idea like, "I want to be successful," will not help you delay gratification. But a clear goal, "I will save 10,000 by the end of the year," or "I will publish my first book within 12 months," gives you a reason to endure sacrifice. When the why is strong, the how becomes easier. Third, remind yourself of the reward. Champions visualize the victory long before it comes. They see the gold medal, the successful business, the family legacy, and that image fuels them through temptation. Do the same. Picture the future reward so vividly that it becomes more desirable than the comfort of the moment. Finally, surround yourself with people who practice discipline. Willpower is contagious. Walk with the disciplined, and you will find it easier to stay strong. Walk with the undisciplined, and you will be pulled down into their habits. Remember this: mental strength is not proven in your ability to say yes to everything you want. It is proven in your ability to say no to what is easy, so you can say yes to what is worthy. So delay gratification. Resist the urge for comfort, for quick pleasure, for instant results. Because what you deny yourself today becomes the foundation of the greatness you will stand on tomorrow. Mental strength is not built in isolation. It is shaped, influenced, and tested by the environment in which you live. If you plant a seed in poor soil, no matter how much potential lies inside it, it will wither. But place that same seed in rich soil under sunlight and water, and it will grow into a mighty tree. You, too, are a seed. And your environment, the people you spend time with, the voices you listen to, the places you go, the habits you practice, is the soil of your life. This is why mentally strong people guard their environment with ruthless discipline. They understand a simple truth: if you walk with the weak, you will think weak. If you walk with the strong, your spirit will rise. Think of Steve Jobs. When he built Apple, he was obsessed with surrounding himself with people who demanded excellence. He once said, "A players hire A players." In other words, greatness attracts greatness. Mediocrity attracts mediocrity. Apple became one of the world's most valuable companies, not just because of Jobs' genius, but because he placed himself in an environment of visionaries who would not settle for less than revolutionary. Now think of the opposite. How many bright minds, how many ambitious hearts have been dragged down by toxic environments? A young man with potential may surround himself with friends who waste their lives in idleness, gossip, or destructive habits. Slowly, without even noticing, he begins to mirror them, not because he lacks ability, but because he chose poor soil. Psychologists call this the social contagion effect, the phenomenon where emotions, behaviors, and even habits spread like a virus within groups. If the people around you are negative, bitter, or lazy, you will absorb those traits no matter how strong you believe you are. But if you surround yourself with ambitious, grateful, disciplined people, their energy will ignite yours. So let me ask you, who is in your circle? Do they strengthen you, or do they weaken you? Do they push you to become better, or do they pull you into excuses? Every relationship, every environment, is either building your mental strength or eroding it. Guarding your environment means making hard choices. It may mean walking away from friendships that no longer serve your growth. It may mean limiting time with family members who constantly drain your spirit with negativity. It may mean cutting off habits, entertainment, and influences that poison your focus. These choices are not easy. But the strong know that protecting their mind is more important than pleasing everyone. Consider Michael Jordan, often regarded as the greatest basketball player of all time. He was not just talented, he was deliberate about his environment. He practiced with teammates who challenged him relentlessly, coaches who demanded excellence, and competitors who sharpened him. Had he surrounded himself with people who accepted mediocrity, his career would have been ordinary. Instead, his environment forged him into a legend. You must become ruthless in protecting the gates of your mind. What you watch, what you read, what you listen to. These are not harmless, they are seeds. Every word, every image, every idea you consume shapes the soil of your inner world. If you want mental strength, do not feed on garbage. Choose wisdom, discipline, and truth as your daily diet. Here is the truth: you cannot always control where you start, but you can always control where you stay. If your current environment does not match the life you dream of, change it. Seek mentors, find communities of growth, step into spaces where people are striving for greatness, because proximity is power. What you are close to will eventually reflect in who you become. So guard your environment ruthlessly. Protect your mind as though it were a fortress, because it is. The strength of your mind will always be equal to the strength of the environment you allow it to grow in. Excuses are the language of weakness. Responsibility is the language of strength. If you truly want to be mentally strong, you must understand this. As long as you cling to excuses, you surrender your power. But the moment you embrace responsibility for your choices, your results, your failures, your future, you take back control of your life. Excuses are seductive. They whisper comfort in the face of disappointment. They tell you, it wasn't your fault. The world is unfair. You would have succeeded if only things were different. Excuses may soothe your pride for a moment, but they steal your progress forever, because excuses shift power away from you. When you blame the economy, your boss, your upbringing, or your circumstances, you are declaring that your life belongs to something outside of you. Responsibility, on the other hand, places the steering wheel back in your hands. Let us look at one of history's greatest examples of responsibility: Nelson Mandela. Imprisoned for 27 years, stripped of freedom, dignity, and time, Mandela could have drowned in bitterness. He could have excused himself by saying, "I am just a prisoner. My destiny has been stolen." Instead, he embraced responsibility even in chains. He educated himself. He built influence among fellow prisoners. He refined his vision for a free South Africa. When freedom finally came, he was not broken. He was prepared to lead. This is the power of responsibility. It turns victims into leaders. On the other hand, look at those who cling to excuses. They remain stuck. Ask a person why they haven't pursued their dream, and they will give you a list. I don't have time. I don't have money. I don't know the right people. I'm too old. I'm too young. And yet, for every excuse you can name, there is someone who overcame it. There are entrepreneurs who built empires from poverty, students who taught themselves in libraries, leaders who rose from obscurity, and innovators who started with nothing but a dream. The difference was never circumstance, it was responsibility. Science supports this as well. A study conducted by Dr. Julian Rotter introduced the concept of locus of control, the degree to which people believe they have control over their lives. Those with an internal locus of control, who take responsibility, consistently outperform those with an external locus of control, who blame outside forces. The data proves what common sense already tells us: people who take ownership shape their destiny, while those who blame remain trapped by it. But how do we build this muscle of responsibility? First, kill the excuse instantly. Every time you hear yourself say, "I can't because," stop. Replace it with, "I haven't yet, but I will find a way." This simple shift transforms a wall into a doorway. Second, own your failures. When something goes wrong, resist the urge to blame. Instead, ask, what could I have done differently? The weak look outward, the strong look inward. Failure becomes fuel when you own it. Third, decide to be the cause, not the effect. Life will always have circumstances beyond your control. The weather, the economy, other people's choices. But you control how you respond. You can either be the effect of what happens, or you can be the cause that shapes what happens next. Fourth, turn responsibility into action. Responsibility is not just words, it is decisions. If your finances are broken, take responsibility by learning money management. If your health is suffering, take responsibility by exercising and eating right. If your relationships are crumbling, take responsibility by changing how you show up. Responsibility is the birthplace of freedom. Excuses are chains. Responsibility is the key. When you embrace it fully, you stop waiting for someone to rescue you. You realize no government, no company, no person is coming to save you. You are your own rescuer. So, reject excuses, burn them, destroy them. They do not serve you, and embrace responsibility with both hands. Because when you do, you become unstoppable. You become the author of your story, the master of your fate, the captain of your soul. The final pillar of mental strength is the most important of all: faith in yourself. Not faith that the road will be easy, not faith that the world will always be fair, but faith that no matter what happens, you have the strength to endure and to prevail. Without self-belief, all other virtues collapse. Discipline will not hold, resilience will fade. Responsibility will feel like a burden, unless they are rooted in a deep conviction that you are capable of more than your circumstances. The truth is simple: the world will doubt you, critics will mock you, failures will whisper lies to you, but none of it matters if you carry unshakable faith in yourself. History is full of men and women who had no obvious reason to believe in themselves, except that they chose to. Consider Oprah Winfrey, born into poverty, facing abuse, rejection, and countless setbacks. She had every reason to surrender to the labels others placed on her. But she chose to believe that her voice mattered, that her dreams were valid, that her potential was greater than her pain. That faith transformed her into one of the most influential women in the world. Faith in yourself is not arrogance. Arrogance is loud, insecure, and fragile. True self-belief is quiet, steady, and unbreakable. It is the calm confidence that says, no matter how many times I fall, I will rise. No matter how many doors close, I will find a way in. No matter how many people doubt me, I will not doubt myself. Psychologists call this self-efficacy, the belief in one's own ability to succeed. Research by Dr. Albert Bandura showed that people with high self-efficacy not only perform better, but they persist longer, recover faster from failure, and are more creative in problem solving. In other words, faith in yourself is not just a feel-good idea. It is scientifically proven to determine success. But how do we build such faith when life has battered us with failure, rejection, and disappointment? First, remember your victories. Too often, we replay our failures like a broken record. But what about the times you succeeded? What about the obstacles you overcame, the goals you achieved, the challenges you survived? Write them down. Revisit them. Let them remind you of the strength you already possess. Second, speak the language of faith. Words are seeds. If you constantly say, I can't, I'm not good enough, I'll never make it, you are programming your mind to accept defeat. Replace those words with declarations. I can, I will, I must. Speak to yourself as though you are already becoming the person you aspire to be. Third, surround yourself with proof of possibility. Look at others who started with less and achieved more. Their stories are not meant to intimidate you. They are meant to awaken you. If they could do it, why not you? Fourth, act with courage, even when you doubt. Here is the secret. Faith does not always precede action. Sometimes faith grows because of action. Take the step, make the move, try again, and each time you act, you build evidence that you are capable. Faith is not built by waiting, it is built by moving. And finally, anchor yourself in vision. Faith in yourself is strongest when tied to a purpose greater than fear. When you know why you must succeed, for your family, for your legacy, for the calling burning in your soul, doubt shrinks. Vision fuels belief, and belief fuels strength. My friends, there will always be doubters. There will always be setbacks. But the voice that matters most is the one inside you. Make it the voice of unshakable faith, because once you believe, truly believe, that you can, nothing in this world can convince you otherwise. So build that faith, guard it, feed it, live by it. Because when you believe in yourself with unshakable conviction, no storm, no critic, no failure, and no obstacle can stop you.